No.
Okay.
All right. We're on. What's up, and welcome to another episode of the Grind Line podcast. This is episode 42, the Martin Firk episode. Firking out over here. I am your host for tonight, Greg. And we've got Tyler back tonight, but no Ryan. Ryan is laid up with a pretty killer headache, it sounds like. But I've got Tyler. How you doing, Tyler?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm glad to be back. It's been a while, but I'd like to be back on here more consistently, and hopefully our schedules can start lining up a bit more. It seems like we're like the Red Wings decor, right? Like one guy gets healthy, another guy gets hurt. Like, so
Yeah, now Daly's down.
Yeah, well, I saw that Erickson went down the runway, and Brian Boucher was talking about like how he went behind him and he hasn't come back. I don't know if he's back in this third period or not, but that would be good
he's
because
back now.
Oh, great!
But Daly's out.
I did see that. He got hurt in the first period, didn't he?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, that's what I thought. Anyways.
So tonight we got a little bit to talk about. We're going to talk about some things that are heating up and some stuff some people asked about on Twitter. So we're going to talk about the Red Wings trade market, really what we're looking to do at the trade deadline this season. We're going to talk a little bit about rumors surrounding Jimmy Howard, and we're going to focus a little bit on goaltending depth. We're going to bring up some names and some stat lines from some goaltenders that people may not be paying much attention to because I feel like goalies are a little less looked at than other prospects. So the Wings, everyone knows, it's no secret, they're most likely going to be sellers at the deadline. There's no way they should be buying anything. We're not in any position to make any kind of push. We shouldn't be trying to make a push. They've called it a rebuild. So the Wings should be sellers. Now, what do we have to sell? I think first we should probably look at Nyquist. And Tyler, what would you ask for Gustav Nyquist, who's going to be a rental for any player that picks him up?
Well, I guess you would ask high and then, have it go down as it goes on. Because, I mean, if you think about it last year, and this is just one that comes to mind for me, like Ryan Hartman is a good hockey player. He's not worth a first-round pick. And Chicago gave up, Nashville gave up a first-round pick to get Ryan Hartman, who has been really pretty good for Nashville. But is he worthy of a first-round pick? So if he's worthy of a first-round pick, then Gustav Nyquist, who is a pretty good playmaker and can put the puck in the net at times, could be looked at as a maybe a first round pick. I don't know.
Yeah, and Ryan Hartman was signed through this year. They picked him up last year, and he's signed through this year. So he had a year left.
Not really a rental. Okay, never mind. Well,
no, he wasn't really a rental, but he had one more year on his contract. So I mean, it's still you're getting him for 1 year, just like we got a first, second, and third for Tatar, who they were getting for 1 year.
Yeah, well, I guess the other thing you could do is you could, instead of getting the pick, maybe you could get a prospect, and I think that's where you could start benefiting from trading guys away. I giving away young defensemen is difficult, but like, what if you could get into a situation, like, obviously it would have to be the right situation, but almost like Chicago did with Arizona, and get a guy that was like a high first round pick, or just needs a change of scenery, kind of like Arizona just traded Dylan Strome away to Chicago, like something like that. That was a terrible deal. Like, Perlini's good and Strome is good, and what did they give up?
Let me check. Hold on.
I should know this right now. Oh, they gave up. Oh, jeez.
They gave up. So the Coyotes traded Strome and Perlini for Nick Schmaltz.
Nick Schmaltz. Okay, that's what it was. I knew it was one of their young forwards. I just couldn't think who it was. But yeah, I mean, that's the kind of deal you're gonna maybe not that 2-for-1 deal. Like, even a Nyquist for a guy that was drafted maybe in the first round or early second round last year or a few years ago, and like a defenseman project kind of thing, like that would be good, even if it's a younger prospect still. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, that that's where I would go with it. I mean, if you can't get like a first round pick or a second round pick or something, you know, something to that effect.
Yeah. Yeah, and bringing up the first round pick traded for Ryan Hartman, this season Ryan Hartman only has 11 points in 25 games, and he wasn't a rental. Like we said, he had 1 year left on his deal.
Yeah.
But so Gustav Nyquist so far this season, he has 3 goals and 14 assists, 17 points in 24 games. People keep screaming, well, he needs to score more goals. He's so terrible. Nyquist has, for the past few seasons, he's been more of a playmaker than a goal scorer. It seems that he's been snake bitten quite a bit, where he'll get a lot of good looks, but just nothing goes in.
You know what?
But
You know what it feels like almost, Greg. Like when he burst onto the scene, he was such a good like hockey. You know, he's a goal scorer almost, and like I don't. We had Prashant Iyer on here at one point, and basically he kind of broke down the percentages, and Nyquist's shooting percentage when he was scoring all those goals was insane. Like he
yeah,
wasn't shooting a lot, but when he was shooting it, the puck was going in the net. So like I guess he wasn't a goal scorer like we all thought he was. He's more of a playmaker, like you kind of said.
yeah, and if we could get a second round pick for Nyquist as a rental, I think if he agreed to sign, because he's a free agent at the end of the season, if he agreed to sign with the team that we send him to, I could see getting a first round pick for him or a second round and a decent prospect. But who I think we might be able to get a better prospect for would be someone like Athanasiou. Now,
I
I'm
agree.
gonna yell, why would you trade Athanasiou? He's scoring the most on the team. But you have to give up assets to get assets.
Yeah.
And I think a team that is desperate for scoring, that is a playoff team that is desperate for scoring, or that is scoring but could score at a higher pace, would give you maybe a young defensive prospect for Athanasiou. A young defensive prospect for Athanasiou and maybe a pick. I don't think you're going out and getting Jacob Trouba for Athanasiou and a pick, but it would be lovely. I don't think you're doing that, but I think you're going to get you could get a highly projected defensive prospect for Athanasiou and a pick, but you have to give up something to get something, and that's what people don't understand. Is they think, oh, you can go trade Glendening or try and trade Abdelkader or Helm, but
Oh yeah,
that's
the
not going to
players
get
nobody wants.
exactly. That's not going to get you a good return. You're going to get a better return for players that actually have value, like Athanasiou, who is scoring at a pretty high clip.
Exactly. No, I get exactly what you're saying. I mean, if you have to give up something to get something. It has to hurt on both sides. And in a perfect world, it would work for both teams. But most of the time, you know, it doesn't work for both teams. You know.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, you're not getting Trouba. Trouba's way too good for what's he still got another. He's 10 points in 23 games, but he's a pretty. I mean, I wouldn't say an elite defenseman, but he's up there. He's a 1-2 guy.
Yeah.
I think you could go to a team who's struggling for scoring right now that's in the playoff or that is in the playoff race. And then say, hey, we've got Athanasiou. Would you be interested in him and maybe one of our third round picks for a defensive prospect? And then you load up on picks, you get a prospect, and I mean, sure, you give up Athanasiou, but at some point you have to trade someone with value to get something with value. And that's what I don't think people are getting.
I agree. Yeah, people just think, yeah, let's trade Glendening, let's trade Abdelkader, let's trade DeKaiser. Like nobody wants those players.
Sure,
and there's a reason why you have those players.
Listen, if someone said, "Give me Justin Abdelkader," I in a heartbeat, they'd say, "Here, take him. I'll retain some of his salary. Just take him." But no one's doing that.
It. See you later.
Yeah. And then the other person that I think is probably higher up in trade talks is Jimmy Howard. Because of how he's played, he's got a 92% save percentage. He has something like the 8th most shots against in the league right now. And he's been very solid. He's the reason we've won quite a few of our games.
Yeah,
and he's actually involved in he's actually involved in a trade rumor right now. So it was tweeted out earlier by one of the Blues accounts, not an official Blues account, but one that does news, that the St. Louis Blues are looking at Jimmy Howard, and the Red Wings are asking for Robert Thomas. The Red Wings ask would be Robert Thomas or Jordan
Kyrou.
Yeah, Jordan Kyrou. Two good centers. I would say that Robert Thomas has a little bit more experience and he scores a little more. He's got some more points. Kyrou has not played as many games on the Blues, but they're two highly regarded center prospects. What do you think, Tyler?
I think if you can do it, pull the damn trigger, because both of those guys are both good players. Kyrou and Robert Thomas both played on that Team Canada last year, and the juniors that won the gold last year in Buffalo. So if you can do it, you absolutely pull the trigger. I think they're going to ask for more than Jimmy Howard, because I mean that's some of their top prospects. So, but if you can do it, yeah, hell yeah, you pull that trigger, because he's been playing good, yeah, but. I mean, you're in a rebuild, so you need to get as many assets as you can. And those guys and the Blues just tied the game up as I say that. Yeah, you got to pile up the assets. That's basically what I'm trying to say.
So the other we're talking about is Robert Thomas, who's actually playing for the Blues right now. He's playing on the team. In 18 games, he has 7 points. But he lit it up in juniors. He played for the London Knights. OHL is a high-scoring league, low defense. But in the 2016-17 season, he played 66 games and had 66 points. The 2017-18 season, it looks like he played between London and Hamilton.
Yeah.
And he played 49 games, and he had over 60 points or over 70 points. So he's a promising center prospect, and I don't really see them giving him up for Howard, but their goaltending tandem sucks. They're not playing well. I believe their goaltending is the reason that Mike Yeo was fired. So they just haven't been good. Granted that Allen has been good in this game that's currently playing right now. I don't think Allen has been up to NHL level goaltending.
No, I think Jake Allen is. I almost feel bad for the kid, because when he first came up with the Blues, a lot of people thought that guy was going to be the next starting goalie for the Blues, and they ended up getting rid of Halak, and Allen ended up being the starter. Or Elliott, I'm sorry, not Halak, and Allen ended up being the starter, and he just hasn't been good. I mean, ever since Elliott's left, it's been, they haven't been good. I mean, last year they missed the playoffs. This year they're off to a really bad start, and I can see them turning it around, because they are playing a good game here against the Wings. But I mean, it's almost perplexing to think that the Blues are in the situation that they're in with the players that they have, and I guess the coaching staff. But I don't know. I almost don't understand why the Blues are as bad as they are right now.
So I think that if right now we've come to the conclusion that Allen has been not good this season. I think they could probably add one more defensive piece, and even if you put Jimmy Howard in front of an average defense, if you put a good goalie in front of an average defense, I think Howard could flourish. He'd have protection in front of him. Howard's been in the top 10 this year for goaltenders with over 10 games. 92% save percentage, like we said before. I think if you put him in front of what the defense the Blues have right now, that the Blues could make up. They're 8 points out of a wild card right now. They could make up that ground no problem, especially in their conference.
Well, I'll tell you what. I will say one thing that I did see about the Blues already in this game so far today. It looked like they weren't ready to play from the drop of the puck. I mean, pretty much dominated the first period and a half of the game. So, I mean, I guess I can see why they're struggling. I just don't understand how they're struggling with the team that they have.
Well, if you look, Tarasenko has not scored like he normally does. I think they were saying coming into this game he had like 3 goals in the past 10 games.
Right.
which is not like him. I mean, he's almost Tarasenko's almost a point per or point every other game kind of guy, and I don't think that he's been up to what he normally is. But he scored tonight. You see, they got guy like David Perron who scored tonight. So they've got talent on that team. They've got some young talent on that team. They picked up Vladimir Sabatka, but it's bad goaltending and a okay defense. I wouldn't say their defense is bad; they're okay. So I could see them wanting Howard.
I'll tell you what, Greg. If you were to tell me I could switch that defense with the Wings defense, I'd do it in 2 seconds.
Oh yeah, save a few people.
Parayko, Pietrangelo, Bouwmeester. I mean, all those guys are better than pretty much our best guy. Well, maybe not Cholowski, but
yeah. I mean, guys like Bouwmeester are definitely on the decline. But I'll take Bouwmeester over Eriksson. I'll take Pietrangelo over DeKeyser.
Yeah.
I saw DeKeyser break down on, I think it was the second goal of the night tonight. DeKeyser he threw his stick out there, hoped that he bumped the guy off the puck, and Perron went right past him and scored. So
yeah, it's ridiculous. But anyways,
even if the Blues came to the Red Wings and said, "Hey, we need goaltending. We're going to give you a second-round pick in this prospect for Jimmy Howard," I do it.
I agree.
Because Howard can always come back at the end of the season. He's a free agent at the end of the season.
Yeah, and the other thing is, too, you got to capitalize while Howard's playing good and while he's healthy, too. That's another thing,
yep.
I would say.
Yeah, because Howard is known for getting injured every season and going, like we said before on the last podcast, going down for like a 10-game stretch.
Yeah, well, he's got that glass groin that he's kind of, have to keep babying or nurturing, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, he's held up pretty well this season so far, and I hope it keeps up because
Fingers
it just it ups his value. Yeah. But I think we're going to talk a little bit about what we have behind Jimmy Howard. So if Jimmy Howard goes down, we have a couple options. We got Patrick Rybar from Grand Rapids, who we talked about on the last podcast, who is out playing Harri Sateri.
Yeah.
But we have some people keep saying, well, we need to get goaltending prospects. We need to keep drafting goalies. We have goalies.
A ton of them, yeah.
Yeah, so every year it seems the Red Wings draft 2 goalies or so. And probably our biggest prospect right now is going to be Philip Larsen. Philip Larsen played for Team Sweden. He is injured currently. He's going to the University of Denver and got injured. He seems to have frequent groin injury issues, which is why they feel he slipped in the draft was because of his groin injuries. We also have a good kid in Caden Fulcher, who went to the finals, was in the OHL finals last season. He's a solid goaltender. I saw him play at the prospect game, and he was really good. So those are 2. We've also got Keith Petruzzelli, who everyone was really high on. He's playing for Quinnipiac right now. He has, I believe, he's 7-2 with a 91.8% save percentage and 2.8 goals against, which is good, which is better than he did last year.
Yeah, he got lit up last year.
Yeah, so our goaltending, we've got some goaltending pipe. I think we drafted Bratstrom last year.
Yep.
And I haven't kept up with that, but we generally draft 2 goalie prospects a year. So we've got a pipeline.
They also got Jurgen Van Padelberg.
Jorgen Van Padelberg.
Yeah. JVP. We just call him because most people can't pronounce his name. But he played in the World Juniors a few years ago for the Swiss, and they almost beat Canada, and they had Connor McDavid on that team. So, I mean, you could imagine how many saves he made in that game.
Yeah, I don't think we need to get. I mean, we're going to. We're going to get more goalie prospects, but we're not starved for them like people think we are.
No, you generally, I mean, I've like listened to GMs talk. Actually, I think it was on the Red and White Authority, and they talked to Ken Holland, and he basically said that, you know, in every draft you take one or two goalies anyways, just to you know, keep it honest and keep refreshing the pool.
Yeah, and goalies are known for developing late.
Yep. So you can never have too many of them either. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So we drafted Victor Brattstrom. Victor Brattstrom was the goalie we drafted. He's playing for Timrå in Sweden. He's played 6 games. He has a 2.8 goals against and a 89% save percentage. So, I mean, that's Sweden's higher league. And, I mean, that's okay. That's not terrible. He's 21 years old, so he's a young guy.
Yeah.
It's goalies are kind of more of a wait and see what happens kind of player. No goal unless you're a Jonathan Quick. You don't come right out of
Fleury, first round pick. You know, they wasted
like top first round pick.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So unless you're a guy like that, where you know, hey, this guy's a freaking wall. He's got a 98% save percentage in juniors, and he's got a goals against of like 1.5. Okay, you can bring him right into the NHL. But most guys are going to play until they're 23, 24, 25 as goalies before they come into the league, as opposed to your forwards who average age when they enter the league is around 20, 21.
But and you know what? Hockey seems to have the trends changing and the wind starting to change in all kinds of different things. So, I mean, at some point you are going to see, and there might be a horrific injury for Athanasiou. Never mind, he's okay. He just went down wicked awkward. But you might start seeing some change as regards to goalie prospects. I mean, why not? Why not give a kid an opportunity? Maybe not to start, but like, why not give him an opportunity to be a backup and learn what it is, or be a part of a tandem and start him at 19, 20 years old in the net. And then you have him for the next 15 years in for your team.
Yeah, I could see
a team taking a chance at some point.
And I don't think it would hurt just to get someone experienced as backup, but I would have to say they had to have been pretty damn good in juniors or played quite a bit of time in the AHL in order to do something like that. Because a backup, if you're going to play him and he's unproven, you're going to go in expecting to lose that game, really, unless he surprises you.
I guess goalies are kind of like defensemen. They take a little bit to develop.
Yeah, I think what we're trying to say is that we're not starving for goalie depth. And I see that a lot on online forums, and I see that a lot on Twitter. Like, if we trade Howard, who's going to be our goalie? Well, of course, we've got... Yeah, Bernier will be your starter, which is great. You're losing out the season, and you're getting a better chance at Hughes if Bernier is your starter. But we've got guys like people need to realize they carry 2 goaltenders in Grand Rapids. They carry 2 goaltenders in Toledo. You can pick up a waiver wire goalie or one from someone's team that they're not using. It's not like if we were to trade Howard, the world would end. We'd be better off in the long run because we would get picks or prospects from it. We would have to play Bernier. We'd lose more games by default. We'd drop down the standings, and we'd get better lottery odds. I mean, it's a win-win-win-win-win-win by trading Howard. That's what it is.
Dennis Cholowski's unbelievable. I'm just watching this game, like, out of the corner of my eye. He just made some spin move, threw the puck at the front of the net, and almost scored. Like, he is so polished. Oh, and Bertuzzi scored.
So there was a list. There was a list earlier. No, you're good. There was a list earlier that I was looking at that was listing our team leaders for points. Or for goals. So right now, number 1's Athanasiou. He's got with tonight's goal, he's at 11. Followed by Dylan Larkin. Dylan Larkin has 9 goals. Anthony Mantha has 9 goals. Bertuzzi's had 2 tonight. So he's up to 8. Rasmussen has 5. At number 6, Cholowski with 4 goals. Our number 6 scorer is Dennis Cholowski. So below him, you've got Abdelkader, Glendening, Nyquist. All our other forwards are below Cholowski, the rookie defenseman. So
yeah, he's unbelievable. You know, I mean, I'm telling you, Cholowski, he's a special kid. But are you basically saying that we don't score enough goals? Is that what you're saying, or?
No, that our forwards that are paid a crap ton of money to do their job are not doing their job.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
So people like Abdelkader, who have 4 goals and are nearly completely useless, are being outscored by a rookie defenseman who's been the best arguably the best defenseman on this team this season.
Yeah, I mean, you can argue with him and Mike Green. Mike Green's been really good too.
And they're pairing Cholowski with Kronwall. So I mean, it's tortoise and the hare out there. You're putting freaking Kronwall, who skates at 2 miles an hour, out there with Dennis Cholowski, who's flying up the ice trying to make passes, and he can only do so much because he's being slowed down by Kronwall.
Yeah.
So he's doing the absolute best with what he's given, and he's a future 1-2 guy.
Absolutely.
He's a
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And if you can get another guy to emerge, I mean, then you'll really have something, because then, you know, you're going to have some money in free agency this year. And, you know, I'm not going to say go crazy and spend it on the best defenseman, but if you can go out there and get someone that's still young, I mean, you'll be in really good shape, because then you'll have 3 guys that have a clue that what's going on besides the guys that are back there already. 4 guys.
Yeah, and
Mike Green, because Mike Green
and like what we were saying,
defense would be good.
Yeah, and like we were saying, you could trade someone like Athanasiou for another defenseman, maybe a 2-3 defenseman or a 3-4 defenseman, just to buff your lineup a little bit. So
absolutely,
I could see you could make really good improvements in this offseason to just help you fall down the standings by trading Howard, get a top pick, but also trade a guy like Athanasiou to a low-scoring team to get picks and prospects and just accelerate this rebuild. And I think it's possible, fully possible.
Absolutely. Unless you think Athanasiou is part of the future and the solution of this team, then I guess you continue with what you have. But I don't think he is.
If you're
got Zadina in the AHL eventually, who's going to come up probably at some point this year. So, yeah. I think the forwards are fine.
If you're over 40 years old, you're probably saying keep the team the way it is, push for a playoff spot. But it seems like the younger people are the ones that have been understanding more that this rebuild needs to happen, and it can happen quick if you make some smart moves.
Absolutely, yeah.
So what do you got for your final thoughts tonight, Tyler?
No, final thoughts. I mean, I like the way they've been playing. I mean, they've been playing hard. I mean, Blashill got so much blame at the beginning of the season, myself included. I didn't say he should be fired. I just thought he was on the hot seat. They've been playing much better ever since they had those really bad blowouts to Boston and what was the other team they got blown out by? Montreal. They played really pretty good since then. The only other second thought I have is I'm going to the game on Saturday in Boston, and they haven't won there since 2014, so we'll see what happens.
Well, that'll count that to a loss for the Red Wings against Boston when Tyler goes.
Hey, they're going to win. They've been playing better.
I guess my final thoughts are don't be afraid to give up people that are easily replaceable. I would say someone like Athanasiou would be replaced next year by a guy like Zadina or Veleno. Don't be afraid to give up a piece to get a piece that helps your future.
And shout out Joe Veleno's been playing really good too.
Oh, Joe Veleno's been lighting it up. He had a 5-point game the other night.
Yeah,
so
I did see that.
Granted, it's the Q, and like I said, the Q is a high-scoring, low-defense league. But even in training camp, the kid looked poised. He looked ready to make the jump this season, but there was just no room, no ice time for him. And I'd rather him have the time down with the Volt Tigers, get the ice time, and get the leadership. Yeah, that whatever. The French Tigers.
The only other thing too I wanted to say, I think Tyler Bertuzzi is becoming your typical meat and potatoes, physical, but he's got a really good head for the game. I feel like he's a glue piece of this team and the future of this team.
I think he's your Luke Glendening with better hands and better hockey IQ.
Yeah, better Justin Abdelkader with more hockey IQ, and you know, he's not just rough and tough, like he can actually score and he can make passes and kill some penalties and everything else.
Smart kid, and he's been really good the past few games too. So
absolutely.
Anyway, Twitter. You didn't change your Twitter handle. Did you change your Twitter handle?
No, I didn't. It's still. You can follow me on Twitter at SealDog91.
All right. You can follow me on Twitter at Bringing the Wing. You can follow the Grindline Podcast on Twitter at GrindlinePod. You can find us on the current platform you're listening to us on, which may be Spotify or iTunes. You can find us on Podbean, on Stitcher. Our videos are posted on YouTube. So if you search on YouTube, you might be able to find us. I'm not sure. I'm going to have to do a little bit of revamp on the YouTube page, but the easiest place to find us is Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, Podbean, and Stitcher.
Absolutely.
Give us a subscribe, comment on us, subscribe to us, share us, follow us on Twitter. All that stuff helps us get more feedback from you guys, develop better content, and get topics that you guys actually want to hear about.
Yep.
So for Tyler, I am Greg. Stay classy, Hockeytown.
You guys have a good night. All right, Greg.